Chairman Mao, Jamie Howe, Ho Chi Minh, Asif Din, Václav Havel, Graham Saville, No Surrender, Percy Fender, Guerilla Cricket.
Welcome to Guerilla Cricket. I'm Tony Bishop, and today I am with Will Gaffney, the founder and driving force behind the charity Bat for a Chance. Bat for a Chance helps underprivileged children experience the joy of cricket. They collect and source clothing and equipment, both new and high quality secondhand, and then dispatch it to schools, clubs and academies, not just in the UK, but all around the world. To help, you can donate your unused or secondhand cricket clothing and equipment via your school or local club. It sounds as simple and as an idea, well, it is. But to actually make it happen and make a difference to so many lives in so many different places, well, that's something else. Will Gaffney, a very warm welcome to Guerilla Cricket.
Thank you very much for having me.
You are most welcome. Well, let's start, Will, by just talking a little bit about you. Just tell us something about yourself, where you're from, how did you get into cricket?
Sure. So I'm from Sussex, support Sussex cricket as well. So that's my stomping grounds. And I got into cricket before I can remember. I think I've been playing since I was 5, 6-ish at my local village club. So yeah,
who are they? Let's give them a shout out.
Heathfield Park Cricket Club.
Okay. Batsman or bowler?
Bowling all-rounder, I like to say.
Bowling all-rounder.
So try and hit the ball a long way and bowl fast if I can.
Oh, okay. Well, where and how did that love of cricket come about? There must be something in the family, I'm guessing, that got you into the game at such a young age.
There is and there isn't. I think my mum and my dad aren't massive cricketers. That's changed a bit over the past couple of years, though. But my granddad loves his cricket. He spent a lot of time in Trinidad, so he's got a big sort of West Indian fan in him. So it kind of comes from there a bit as well. And again, just comes back to the local cricket club thing. I've been playing all my life pretty much, and it's just sort of developed from there.
Wow, fantastic. So let's move on to Bat for a Chance and talk a fair bit about that. First of all, how did it come about? What started what was the spark that went, you know what, I'm going to create this amazing thing? Where did it come from?
So it's a funny one because I never really set out and I was like, I'd like to start a charity. This is what I want to do. This is direction, etc., etc. I was really, really, really lucky when I was 11 at the time, 10, 11, to go on tour to Sri Lanka. So I was offered the opportunity to go out there, play a bit of cricket, see what life is like out there, etc., etc. And went on a bit of a lads trip with my dad and a couple of other good friends, etc. And it was there where I think I had my first interaction with how different cricket is overseas compared to the UK, how it's almost a different game and how it's played in such a different manner. I was really lucky to be going on the tour in the first place, and then to follow that up, we played in some brilliant places like the Test Ground in Colombo, a couple of university stadiums, etc. And then on the completely flip side of things, and I think perhaps what I enjoyed the most, we played a local school side in nowhere, sort of in the middle of nowhere in Kandy on a coconut mat because they don't have a wicket, being told sort of not to go into the outfield because you've got snakes in the bushes and all sorts of dodgy bits and pieces. And one, we got absolutely smashed by the school side who loved and lived and breathed cricket. And two, they only had sort of one set of kit between them. So we'd get a wicket finally and they'd be unpadding at the crease, and then their mates would be coming on and sticking their pads on at the crease. And, coming from England, where that isn't as much of an issue, cricket kit is still an issue. At such a young age, it was a bit of a shock. It was a bit of a reality check, etc. So reflecting on the tour a couple of years later, I somehow, at the grand old age of 14, mustered up the confidence to send out an email late at night saying, I want to help out, give back, get involved in some way, shape or form. And things have just snowballed really into what they are today.
Well, I said in simple terms, it's about donating and using kit to help those around the world that don't have it. I think that's a brilliant example that you've just given. Let's just make sure that people know how they can help. So talk us through the different ways that anyone who's listening to this, either during the Ashes test or as a podcast or on our various social media channels, what can they do to help you and this amazing cause?
So as you say, it's actually a fairly simple concept. There's three main ways in which you can help. One, you can donate kit. So as you touched on earlier, cricket kit is what we operate off. It's what makes everything possible, etc., etc. So donating kit, there's a donate page on our website where you can find sort of your local donation hub up and down the country. We're really lucky to have some brilliant supporters who have set up these collection hubs. Secondly, you can donate money. Again, none of this is possible without the incredible generosity of our supporters behind us and our sponsors and partners. And the funds really do have a massive impact for us, being a small charity. Shipping costs so halfway around the world are ridiculously expensive. So it does have a big impact for us. And then finally, if you're interested, we have always got a door open for new partners. We love collaborating on all sorts of various random bits and pieces. So yeah.
Well, I'll come on to that in a bit more detail. You mentioned the website there. That is batforachance.org.uk.
Yes.
Tell me I got that right. Thank goodness. I say, of all the things not to get wrong, I could have called you Fred Smith by mistake, but the one thing not to get wrong is the website address, batforachance.org.uk. Now, you mentioned some of the costs there. This is some of the things that it says on the website. A donation of £50 covers the cost of one local kit collection.
Yes.
£100 covers the cost of shipping one kit via air, with £1,250 covering the cost of an entire overseas kit drop. When you say an entire overseas, is that like a full team of 11, including bats, pads, balls, and everything else that they're likely to need?
It's probably more than that, to be honest with you.
Wow.
Sort of what that pretty large sum of money, to be fair, gets you is a container to the destination, just packed with cricket kit, cricket clothing, softball kit, whatever they sort of need in terms of cricket stuff, coaching gears, whatever. So it's not really, 11 pairs of pads, helmets, stumps, bats, balls. It's whatever they're in most need of. Because quite often it's not sort of always, I need 6 pairs of pads, 2 really nice ones for my opening batsman, etc. It could be, I need 100 softball bats. I want to start cricket in the middle of nowhere in Africa. Big variation.
So, you talked about the Sri Lankan experience, and you're playing against a team of fantastic cricketers who've got like one bat and pads between them. I won't even ask about the box. We don't want to go there. But the very first step, you said to yourself, I think I could create a charity that is going to help expand cricket around the world by getting kit to people who need it. It sounds so easy, but what's the first thing you actually do to go about turning that from an idea you wake up in bed with one night to the success it's being today?
That's a really good question, actually. I think at the start it was a lot of not cold calling, but cold emailing people, so to speak. So sparking people's interest, telling my story, etc., trying to get people's buy-in. And then obviously you can't send kit overseas, or for that matter around the UK, without having cricket kit in the first place. So I think that's where it sort of all kicked off properly. So we did our first sort of kit collection drive throughout the summer 3 years ago now, 2-3 years ago. Because got to the point where I collected so much cricket kit, and we still store it all at home, where my parents were sort of like, this needs to go, this has got to go somewhere. I can't get up the stairs, I can't get into your room, whatever. This has got to go.
The familiar story. Give me the number of your mum and dad. I need to talk to them because I've got exactly the same problem. Go on.
And so I think it was sort of just being active with it and just saying, look, I'm going to try and collect kit. And once you've got the kit, it's got to go somewhere, because you've essentially promised all these people that it's going to get to a worthy cause. So I think getting our hands on the cricket kit in the first place is probably the first step.
So it's getting kit that's important. Now, well, yeah. Now you're still studying, aren't you?
I am, yes. I've just started A-levels.
You've started A-levels. So you've set up, somehow, in your spare time, you've managed to set up this charity, send kit all around the world, got yourself pretty well noticed. It's a Herculean effort. Who else kind of helps you keep it moving? You've got to have some help. I mean, Superman, you may be, but this is Superman on speed. So who else helps you, Will?
Yeah, no, I've been really lucky, and it's definitely not all just me. I think I wouldn't be able to do it. I've got a brilliant group of trustees behind me. So I've got my mum, who's been a legend throughout the whole process. Dad has been as well, sort of packing up cricket kit in front of the TV on the sofa, endless hours and hours of sorting stuff, etc. So mum's a trustee. Then a brilliant guy who chairs our board of trustees called Omar Khan, who sort of works in the world of sports sponsorship and media. He's been a legend for us as well. He helped mastermind our Sri Lanka project earlier this year, which was a huge highlight for us. And then a couple of other trustees who've just appointed a load of new trustees, but they're not officially announced yet, along with a couple of ambassadors. So there's definitely some exciting news to come, which will also elaborate on my support network behind me. And then on top of that, I think I've just been really lucky to have mentors within cricket, sort of stumbled my way into meeting them a little bit, who've just been fantastic for me, just offering sort of pearls of wisdom, as I like to call them, saying, don't do this, that's going to be a great big mistake. You're going to find yourself.
Give me an example of a pearl of wisdom, and who did it come from?
Okay, so a good pearl of wisdom I think I got was from Chushil Gunasekera. He's an incredible human being who founded the Foundation of Goodness. And sort of I stumbled upon him early doors, so to speak, sort of halfway through my developing Bat for a Chance. And he just said, live by the motto of under-promising and over-delivering in the charitable world. Because it's all well and good going out and promising the world and saying, I'll get you 50 cricket bats and 100 pairs of pads, etc. But if you can't do it, there's no point in saying it. And someone's going to be much more chuffed and pleased if you actually end up sending them 40 cricket bats instead of 25, and they open the container and just see even more cricket kit. And I think that's something we definitely have stuck by. So
those are words of wisdom for life generally, might I say. Certainly works in business as well as in charities, but that's a terrific word of advice. Now, I would guess, as I think about, children around the world receiving kit, giving the chance to play the game they love, expanding the game through doing it, which is all fantastic. There must be some really interesting kind of human stories of that stand out to you. Are there any of those that you can recall and tell us a little bit about?
Yeah, there's a couple that spring to mind, actually. I think we've definitely had some really powerful, moving stories come from not only what our kit has done for people and enable people to do, but actually just realising what cricket does for underprivileged men, women, children all around the world. The two that sort of spring to mind is one is a young lady in Trinidad who, thanks to our brilliant partners, Pro Sport Caribbean, who collect and distribute kit on behalf of us in Trinidad, managed to be supported earlier this year, who had just lost her mother, was at home looking after multiple other siblings. Her mum used to take her to her cricket matches, etc., but no longer obviously was with them. And cricket was sort of what had kept her going. And she was playing for her local school side in sort of one, so to speak, one of the forgotten regions of Trinidad. And to be able to support her on her journey, I think was fantastic. And it's a true testament to the brilliant work that the guys are doing out there. Obviously I'm not in Trinidad, and a lot of it comes down to them. And for the team to be spotting and identifying causes like that, which truly are in need of our help in such harrowing times, I think it's brilliant. And then the other one is of a young Afghan refugee, a bit closer to home, who's just arrived in the UK. So we had a phone call through one of our local kit suppliers, Kent Cricket Direct. And they said, we've just had a phone call from a foster parent who's just had an Afghan refugee being taken in with them. He can barely speak a word of English, but he needs cricket kit. As I'm sure we're all aware, Afghans love their cricket after their pretty spectacular fight in the World Cup. And so we managed to support him, and I was really lucky to meet him. And I remember sort of knocking on his door with a bag of cricket kit, literally a New Balance backpack, I think, and sort of opening the door, and you can see the smile and the hope that the bag of kit brings for a kid.
I hope you're on a deal with New Balance. Every time you mention them, you get a cricket bat arrives to go somewhere in the world.
And opening the door, you can see, one, the smile and just his face lit up upon seeing cricket kit, and two, you can really see and tell, the journey that he's been on. So one, get to the UK. This guy was literally pulled off a boat a month before we saw him in the Channel. Yeah.
Wow, that's a beautiful story. Actually, I recall we had an article on our website. It was somewhere in Milton Keynes. It was a Milton Keynes council story, but they'd been housing quite a number of the Afghanistan refugees, and they were listing the things that they really needed that were most important to them. And like top of the list, I think was I can't remember. It was like shampoo, and like number 2 after shampoo was cricket gear. Never mind clothes or whatever. It was, get me my cricket gear. So as you were saying, it was just so important to them. Now, I mean, despite the pandemic, this has been some year for you. I think there's been quite a few highlights and amazing partnerships you've formed and things that you've done. Tell us a little bit about some of the highlights of 2021, which has been a pretty dire and desperate year in so many ways for a lot of people. But you've been putting all that to one side and just delivering great stuff. So tell us some of those things.
Yeah, I think we've had a bit of a breakout year, and we've been really lucky. The team behind me, which we touched on earlier, have been fantastic throughout 2021. And I think lockdown, in a weird way, was a blessing in disguise for us, because it basically meant I didn't have to go to school. So I put much more time into this than I probably should have done. But yeah, so at the top of the year in January, we had a fantastic moment with the Foundation of Goodness, who we touched on earlier, supporting them and some of their rural schools.
Oh, they're in Sri Lanka, aren't they, the Foundation of Goodness? And didn't at some point Kumar Sangakkara get involved in that story somewhere?
Yeah, we somehow managed to have him handing over our kit in Colombo at a little sort of presentation ceremony. He gave an incredible speech, to camera, and all sorts of cool bits and pieces. I remember like sort of rolling out of bed, because obviously you've got the time difference, and I've got school in sort of an hour's time, and I open my phone, it's just completely filled my Twitter feed with Kumar Sangakkara said this, and this happened, and I was just
wow.
Yeah, one of those incredible mornings, which I'll never forget.
Were you late for school? And did they let you off?
Yeah, it was still online school at the time, but yeah, I was definitely late.
And sorry, go on. Yeah, carry on.
And then we've also been really lucky to partner up with the MCC Foundation as well this year. So closer to home, we're very conscious that yes, there's a need for kit overseas, but there's also just as important and greater need in the UK. So we've done a lot of work with them, supporting kids in their incredible hub program up and down the country. I think they've now gone up to 72 or 74 hubs nationwide, as well as supporting their projects in the Lebanon. So they run Syrian refugee cricket camps out there. Got these hubs which are incredible, and we've kitted them all out with a load of softball kit. And Sarah Fain, their director, again is one of those people who have just really, really, really helped me, and sort of guided me, and offered those pearls of wisdom. Wow,
fantastic. Well, I noticed there's a few. So you talked about the Foundation for Goodness, you've talked about the MCC Foundation. I believe you've been doing some work with the ACE program as well, which of course Surrey, now Warwickshire, and I think there's one other county they're getting themselves into. How's that relationship working? How do you two work together?
Yeah, we did a bit of work with ACE in the summer. Chevy was brilliant. He's a really good guy. Yeah. So we supported their community development programs across their Surrey branch, or London essentially. And that was really cool actually, because it was the first time, I think, it was the first time since actually setting up the charity I'd been able to hand out kit face to face to the kids in Brockwell Park in London. So that was a really, really good experience for us. And again, another fantastic charity. I'm always banging on about the fact that there's no room for sort of a competitive environment in the charitable space. It's all about working together, because at the end of the day, if you bring two parties together, you're going to have a greater impact than working against each other. And, ACE are a brilliant example of that. They're an incredible...
I recall in a conversation I had with Chevy, I think he mentioned you, but B, I think he talked a lot about collaboration and partnerships. I mean, the additional dimension to ACE, of course, is trying to regenerate interest in the game amongst the Black Afro-Caribbean community, which of course has just fallen off so dramatically in the last number of years. And obviously enabling people to get kit for them is a massive part of that. So I mean, you come at the problem from slightly different angles, but with entirely complementary sort of skills and things that you're bringing to the party. So that I can see how that is fantastic. There's a couple of other people I've noticed that you work with. You're working with our friends Cricket Without Boundaries, who are phenomenal.
Indeed.
We've done a fair bit with them. Tell us a little bit about how that relationship works.
As you say, Tony, they are again another brilliant organisation, and just seem to make things happen like I've never seen before. It's remarkable, to be honest. But so we've sort of become their kit partner, so to speak. So Cricket Without Boundaries are a bit more established than we are. They've been on and around the block for a bit longer, and they get a lot of kit requests in, that whether that be actual sort of kit to donate to us or causes which we should look to be supporting. So working through them, we've been able to get a lot of kit to Afghan refugees across Europe. So we've supported Afghan refugees in Bosnia, Kosovo, and Albania now. I think it's Albania. So, that has been a true testament to our partnership with them. That's, I think, in total between 6,000 to 7,000 Afghan refugees across Europe.
Wow.
Yeah, which is some pretty awesome numbers. And as you were saying earlier, the Milton Keynes story is exactly the situation these guys have got in these European nations. They've just about got enough clothes for them to sort of be living in. And then next on their list is cricket stuff. And it's just like, I need to be playing cricket. And it gives them this escape and something to do throughout the day. Because quite often they're in these refugee camps and there is literally nothing for them to do. And they'll just take a dark turn in life and go down.
And in there are the tomorrow's Rashid Khans and Mujibs.
Yeah.
You can bet your life, right? Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Now, I think you've got some pretty interesting plans for the year ahead. So you've come through this year. To hell with the pandemic. We're going to ignore that. We're just going to keep doing amazing stuff. What amazing stuff have you got lined up for the next year or so? So as I touched on briefly, in the next couple of weeks or so, we're going to be announcing our new board, so to speak, along with a couple of our first global cricket ambassador, which is a pretty cool one. Are you allowed to say who, or is that embargoed for now?
It's embargoed for now. I know. Okay.
No Guerilla Cricket exclusive there then, but never mind.
And then, so we'll be announcing that in the next couple of weeks. And, really lucky. I've got a really, really cool team behind me now. And then going into 2022, we've got 4 focus areas for the year. So we're going to be looking to support causes in Barbados, India, Pakistan, and then Sri Lanka again. But that is not to say those are the only places we will be supporting. It's just giving us a little bit more of a structure. We're still going to be doing random one-off bits and pieces where the requests fly in, because that's really what Back for a Chance is all about, I think. is getting a phone call on a Monday saying I'm going somewhere on Friday, I need cricket kit to take with me, and sort of somehow making it happen.
And then you press the panic button and somehow you get it there. Well, actually, that is one question I was going to ask you. I mean, clearly you can go to batforachance.org.uk. It talks about donating kit, donating money, becoming a partner. But to just talk me through a little bit, if somebody is out there, quite often I would imagine it's cricket clubs who are upgrading their stuff and they've got good stuff, but whatever. It might be families, because kids grow up. All of a sudden, the Harrow bat is no longer of use, because someone's got taller. That's what kids do. If there's someone with kit out there that's good and it's usable and they aren't going to use it, what do they do? How do they actually physically get it into your hands?
Yeah. So I think the step-by-step process is sort of looking at the website and seeing if there's a donation centre near them where they can go and drop the kit off. And then if there is, we've got sort of like a delivery van system where we've got this brilliant guy who sort of drives up and down the country collecting cricket kit for us. It all gets shoved in the back of kind of a removal van and then brought down to us in Sussex, where it's packaged and sent off where it needs to go. Or if there's not a centre near you, we're always looking to expand and set up new donation hubs, especially looking forward to next cricket season. Our sort of two main donation points are at the start of the year and at the end of the year for obvious reasons. And so that's sort of how it gets to us. And then, of course, we'll look to keep you in the loop as to where your stuff ends up.
Is there a time of year when you're busier? I mean, it's a bit sort of local UK thinking, but with a cricket season coming up, that's the time you get your new bat, your balls, pads. You're looking for your new kit, aren't you? Is it the kind of the March, April time when cricketers are thinking, there's nothing wrong with this bat, made a few runs last year, but I need another one? And do you find that's a sort of a busier time for you? Is it busier, or is it busy across the whole year?
I think definitely in terms of kit collection, it's a lot busier. So sort of now things have calmed down a lot. We've still got a great big stock and backlog from our collection start of the summer, which is brilliant. But there's not as much stuff coming in. Whereas, as you say, as soon as basically March hits, we are inundated with kit requests from everywhere.
Brilliant. That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Because it just enables us to get more kit out there. Or fill the house up even more, much to mum and dad's advice.
So hang on, you got into this because your mum and dad were complaining about having cricket kit all over the place. So what you've gone and done is actually start something where you get even more cricket kit all around the place. They must love you. And I'm sure they're actually, seriously, I expect they're incredibly proud, as they should be. Well, we're going to come back and remind people, obviously, about where and how they can help. But it would be remiss to not talk to someone who loves cricket with an Ashes series just around the corner, and the fact that this is almost certainly going to be going out as an interview during our Ashes coverage. I have to ask you, who's your tip for the series?
Well, I think I'd be sort of shooting myself in the foot if I didn't say England.
You're brave, but not many people have.
I think it's definitely going to be a tricky series based off Australia just winning the World Cup. That's never good for an Australian ego, but I've always got to back England. So yeah, I think I'll go with England. So
you're going with England. Okay, that's very brave of you, and we shall see what happens there. Well, it's been fantastic to chat with you, Will, and let's remind people the ways you can help. You can donate kit. You can donate money. Obviously, that's always helpful. You can become a partner. You have some very interesting partners, some of whom you've talked about there. The place to go is batforachance.org.uk, batforachance.org.uk, and you can find out there exactly what it takes to help Will and to help Bat for a Chance and to be part of getting kit into the hands of everywhere around the world that young cricketers who would struggle otherwise to get their hands on it can do it. You're helping them. As importantly, I think you're helping to grow the game and make the game, a force for good around the world. Will, it has been an absolute delight to chat to you. Thank you very much for coming on Guerilla Cricket.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a blast.
It's been a great pleasure.
Guerilla Cricket.
Revolutionary cricket commentary.